welcome back still about the same topic, of course, the second Dakar Financial Summit that is held in Senegal and attended on behalf of President Abdel al-Sisi by the Prime Minister, Dr. Mustafa Mbouli. Of course, let me again welcome our prominent guest, Mr. Rahman, the political analyst and the economic analyst as well. Good morning, Mr. Rahman.
Good morning to you. Hello.
Hello, sir. Of course, let me start off with you about the importance of the second summit, financial summit that is being held in Dakar, in Senegal, and the importance in the sense of its importance for Africa's infrastructure development and its objectives, especially at this time of the timing.
Well, as Africa is no more just our backyard, but it's our own main arena as a leader of this continent. We are taking the initiative of too many efforts since the revolution of June 30 to build the bridges and rebuild the bridges were broken with the associates and brothers in blood in Africa. Senegal is a country that have a strong and long history with ties and historical ties with Egypt. And of course, from this point, we get up and give them the hand and tell them that we are the leaders and the brothers, the bigger brothers in this continent, and we are achieving this brotherhood relations with projects, practically, not just words. We had already held mega projects, just as we are building right here in Egypt. We are building the same in the continent. We can never forget the new dam, the Julius Nyerere Dam in Tanzania, and other projects in our friendly and neighbor countries in the continent. In Dakar, in this summit, we are building new bridges, establishing new ties, based on the new image economically that we are trying to build and grab the attention and the investments from the African businessmen and investors into our own mega projects like Suez Canal platform, our economical zone in the Suez Canal, which is an arena for investors from all over the world, not just from Africa, not just from the US or Russia or Germany or Far East countries, or from Japan, from China, from each and every country. I believe that the African investors are welcomed with open arms to have their share and to share us the building, not just our country, but their own economies, their own countries. Through this summit, we are achieving to be the head of the NEPAD committee, the steering committee of NEPAD, which is a very important step. We can have this committee for the coming year, the upcoming year, and as well as we were, and we are, not formally right now, but we are the leaders of the African Union. We were welcomed as leader, the normal position of Egypt as the leader of this continent. Also, we can take the lead with our own associates and our own brothers in Africa to achieve the sustainable development in the continent for the prosperity of the whole nations in Egypt, in Senegal, in each and every country.
So also, like you said, the timing, you refer to the timing. How do you assess President Abdel Fattah's speech during the summit, which was made by Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, or carried by the Prime Minister, Dr. Mustafa Madbouli?
Well, the timing is important. The timing is very significant element here. With our own stronger ties with the African nations, we can think together, act together to protect our best interests in the continent, not just by words, not just by slogans, by actions. And I believe this is the time of economical actions. The economical ties are the most important base we can, any two countries or any group of countries want to build their own association, their own cooperation, can only build, or starting with building the economical ties. That's how we are building our economical ties with the African nations. Even we don't never have any hard time going through this, because Egyptians are welcomed and warmly welcomed along the African nation and countries and responsibles since the 60s, since thousands of years. We belong to this continent, and we share the same blood, the same genes, the same identity, the same roots. Economically, we can rebuild our own ties and to achieve more prosperity, more goals for our nations, and also to achieve that common vision, this common view on how to protect our nations from outsiders' influences, whether from Iran, whether from the Zionist existence, whether from the US, from the West, whatsoever. They all have greeds in the continent. And greeds mean a threat, not just to Egypt, but the whole nations.
And any threat to neighboring countries or on the frontiers is a threat to Egypt also.
Exactly. This is the second thing we are thinking about after building our economic ties with friendly countries and brother countries in the continent. We think how to protect, how to achieve a common vision, to protect our own borders, our own sources, our own treasures that was stolen for decades and for centuries. Without the shield of the strong shield that protect the continent, it's an open land for those who want to grab their fortunes. For so long, Egypt was away from this part, and again, right now, we are taking the leads, and we are building the true, solid, and honest relations with our own brothers in Africa, to protect our own fortunes, our own treasures, our own sources of life, and also make it even better for our own nations, based upon the development, based upon our own identity, not just the visions of the West or East. This continent has its own identity that we have to preserve, and we have to build upon. I see when Mr. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi meets his counterparts in African countries, I believe that he feels the brotherhood in their welcome, in the way of their speeches about the ties and the relations between Egypt and other countries. They are waiting for us to go there for them and give them our hand, lend them a hand for building together what's only best for our own nations, based upon our own identity.
Let's talk about an important part in this particular topic, which is, as usual, of course, the address or the speech that was delivered by Prime Minister Madbouli on behalf of President Sisi. Originally, it's President Sisi's speech. And as usual, President Sisi, in all of his speeches, he focused on very important parts, and he has that foresight. When he talks about certain aspects in his speech, we know that there is a focus for this event on that particular part or the other part. So let's assess President Abdel Fattah Sisi's speech that was given in Dakar.
Mr. President is addressing not just the people who are gathering in the summit, but he's addressing the whole nations of the continent. Because we are strengthening our ties right now as we are speaking. We are strengthening our ties with even until South Africa. We believe that with common understanding, with more projects, mega projects, we can achieve not just small projects or small investments here in Egypt or in other countries, but we need to think continentally as a continent, as a whole vision, as a united vision of the continent. Not just separate islands, not just separate identities. Still until today, some
whole entity.
Yes, exactly. Some until today, some countries still have the touches of the French culture or the British culture. We need to eliminate that culture and regain our own identity, our own way of living, our own way of life.
Retaining the lead role inside Africa.
Get back to our roots, that golden roots that attracted the attention of the greed hands for centuries before. It's really deserve to be protected, and really deserve to start building so fast. The time is running. We are truly out of time for waiting. No more waiting. We need to start right now. We need to start yesterday. And that's what we are already doing through the mega projects, with the association of the private sector and the government sector, with this vision that only Egypt has achieved, and making it successfully. This path, that common path between that mix. The secret mix between this and that, the private sector and the governance sector, which is very important way of thinking. This is the way we can build our own societies, give the chance for each and every sector of the society to live on and have their chances in working and investments, and build and sharing, to have share in building the country. We can apply the same way of thinking, which with each and every country we are taking associate with. This is the common vision that we are trying to build up.
Deliver to. That's true. He talked too much about partnerships, and he was focusing about the phrase partnership. But also he highlighted that Egypt's vision for development, Egypt's exclusive vision for development in Africa, is based on 5 axes. He talked about the 5 axes and focused on them, and he talked about linking African nations with each other, like you said, a united Africa. He also propagated for infrastructural projects and also encouraging investment. And he noted that Egypt contributes in promoting for African development projects through mobilizing funds needed for their implementation. And this is implemented. We are starting by ourselves. Talking about investment, attracting foreign investment and promoting for investment. We have laid a foundation for infrastructural projects.
Exactly.
And we have taken a leap.
Exactly.
And I think, not me thinking, of course, I'm not supposed to say what I think, but Africa should take heed and follow our footsteps in that particular sense, and follow our successful experience in that particular domain, to prepare and pave the way how to attract the foreign investment.
This is exactly what we have set the symbol for Africa by building our own mega projects of infrastructure. The one symbol that no civilization can be built without. I read an article that the Roman Empire was built on a very strong and wide net of roads and infrastructure. The same goes for the European and the American and the new civilizations. They were never built without the infrastructure. This is why what we are trying to build with our associates.
And ratifying also or amending laws, investment laws, and
make it easier for investors.
And also implementing a very successful, smart, modern, very modern economic reform program, like Egypt have done.
And also to think big, thinking the mega projects.
Foresight.
Exactly. We are talking about, as I told you.
We're talking about Egypt.
Of course, we're talking Egypt here.
I mean, we're talking about the Egyptian experience.
That's it. From the 60s. We have the leading role in building the mega projects, industrial, but like the high dam, like the industrial.
Mr. Rahman, what we were missing the soft power.
Exactly.
Extending our hands to the African nations and joining hands and focusing over partnerships with this African nation and that particular African country, and expressing our care and how we care for bringing ourselves together. And this is what President Abdel Fattah Sisi
I always tackle on this. I always tackle on this point, which is a historical and a strategic point. How to gather.
That is President Abdel Fattah Sisi's policies.
This is what we have really launched. That strategy right afterwards, the success of June 30. Right away, we have started the project of Julius Nyerere. Right away, we are trying to make our own new mega project, that unbelievable project, which is about connecting the Lake Victoria to the Mediterranean Sea, which is a very important and significant for the whole nations all over the River Nile. Also, there is another mega project that can gather millions of working hands, which is connecting the Congo River to the Qattara Depression. The Congo River flows all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. And before about 6,000 or 7,000 years, that river was flowing through Egypt, the western bank, before even the Nile was that strong in our lands. We had rivers from the Red Sea Mountains and other strong river coming from the heart of Africa, which is the Congo. Both banks of Egypt were green, not just desert like today. We can change this by using the nature forces. We're not going to force the nature or change it. We only going to refresh the memory of nature, that this river was going through our own lands. That's how we can share prosperity and development for both nations, for all the nations that river going through or flowing. This is a magical project for the African, as a symbol of our own successful mega project applied continentally scale.
Right. Mr. Amr Abdel-Rahman, of course, on this note, we're very delighted to have you here as usual. Thank you so much for coming. You have a beautiful day. And we're going to go to short break and we'll come to continue the breakfast show, so stay with us.